Good morning. We are back with a Monday morning Pulsewave report with yours truly, the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous Pulsewave price trigger reports. Hopefully, everyone had a wonderful weekend, and hopefully, you're ready to get back to business. As you know, the markets around the world have reopened Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard New York time. And here we are. So, Mondays typically can be a little interesting, to say the least. It all depends on what's happened over the weekend. You know, were any more bombs dropped somewhere, or were bombs dropped somewhere new? Wars, rumors of wars, all that jazz. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Good morning, everybody in the live feed. What's up, Four Cheese and Mr. Warner? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for showing up. Um, Basically, what I like to do is I go over um just a few things. We take a look at what the markets have been doing. Uh, you know, Briefly. We take a look at if there's any activity from the overnight that needs to be discussed. Like I said, sometimes um, it can be quite boring, but then other times the markets can be absolutely astonishing. And you never really know what you're going to get, on any given day. Mondays can be Black Mondays. Mondays can be on and popping. Like I said, it just really, really matters. Excuse me, what is going on. So, with that being said, I believe that this is some interesting times that we are living in for various reasons, as you well know. Um, I try to keep myself in the loop as much as possible and to be abreast of things that are going on that other people may not be thinking about. And one of the things you have to think about is that the word distraction, I think that's going to be the word of the day, distractions. Distractions come in all shapes and sizes. There are some good distractions. All right. So let's say there's a tense, stressful moment, and a good distraction from all of that is warranted. So distractions are not always bad in and of themselves. It just depends on the situation. So, like I said, some distractions are welcome, especially during moments of crisis. Anything that can help take your mind off of the current crisis can be deemed a good thing. And that's what we are dealing with today. We're looking at anything that can be perceived as a distraction. The first thing you have to ask yourself is this distraction warranted, or is something else going on? Now, I'm being cryptic on purpose, but trust me, I'm going to take you somewhere today. I'm going to take you somewhere. But before we do that, we got to handle some business. All right. So we got to look at where the markets are currently, and then we got to look at where the markets have been and all that good stuff. So we're going to do some housekeeping first, and then we'll get into all the happy-go-lucky stuff. All right. So let's pull up a screen here. I can share my screen with you. Let's see. Here we go. All right, you may or may not be able to see it. I can't control that, but at least it's here. All right, so the US dollar index right now is at 48 pips at 99.27. Just remember, par is 100 even. So knocking at the door of par. The euro down 13 pips at 110.07. Pound sterling down 104 pips at 130.76. Wait a minute. Hold up. Oh, nice. Anyone who took the pound sterling short and held over the weekend has a wonderful surprise waiting for them in their account this morning. And yeah, I went ahead and took a position in that. I'll get to that later. Okay, so let's see. Aussie is off 46 pips, so it's moving the other way. It did hit a resistance high in the overnight of 75.49. I took that one too. Remember, hold it. I think it's just a little bit of volatility. I'll hold it and see what happens. Bitcoin is up over 3,000 right now, 3,035 points, and we're at 47,695 on the futures. Gold futures down $16.60. Ouch. Trading at $1,937.40 an ounce. Silver down 40 cents, trading at $25.21 an ounce. Crude oil, the monster. Hold on one second. Okay. Crude oil down $8. It opened at $112.95, and that's also the high of the session. And the low of the session is $104.72. You know what we call that? We call that face rippage. But what else do we call it? Those who've been with me for a while and you've gone through the tutorials, what do we call the numbers I just gave you for crude oil? We call that a bearish 2-bar Charlie. That means we're going to have an all-down day in the oil. That means all day, all trading session, it's going to end in the red, and we may not have seen the low yet. That's what that means. We have a negative 2-bar Charlie on the oil. If you looked at your report coming into this, if you missed your entry point from Thursday night, you had a second entry point coming into it last night, getting short. If you are short that, go ahead and you may want to monitor that. I know it's too soon to pop your way through it, but I just say just watch this one. And that's because crude oil right now is acting quite gangster because it is being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine coming out of Ukraine right now. So just be mindful. You're going to have to monitor this one. This is not oil is not a traditional trade due to the circumstances involved right now. Normally, if you got filled today and you're sitting here looking at a couple of points in profit, I would say, don't even look at it. Turn your screen off. Go do something else because we hold overnight. We swing trade and position trade. We don't day trade unless there's enormous profit. Now, if I was short from, let's say, 120, 130, then I'd be like, I'm probably going to take money off the table today. But if you're brand new to it, like you just got short over the weekend or short Friday, then you probably have to wait and see how this thing plays out today. Or you can stop popping. If you're going to move your stop to break even or something, you can do that too. But, just follow the pop method. All right, nat gas is off 2 cents at $5.54. Wow. The dollar, we already did the dollar. The Dow went down 125 at 34,629. NASDAQ is positive, up 36 points at 14,795 and a quarter. The E-mini S&P 500 is down 4 points at 45.33 and a quarter. Russell My Hustle down 14.2 points at 20.61 even. The long bond futures up a full point in 4.30 seconds, trading at 148 and 6.30 seconds right now. Beans still in the teens, but down 25 points right now, trading at $16.85 a bushel. Corn is is down 7.75 points at 7.46 a bushel. And last but not least, wheat is down 24.25 points at 16.85 a bushel. I haven't tried to put another trade on in the wheat and just yet, because I'm still thinking that it's probably still in the quarantine right now. They're not letting anybody participate in the wheat unless you were trying to liquidate a position. They'll let you do that, but not initiate a new position, which really sucks because they're not letting people play in the sandbox. But that's okay. We're used to this type of action. It's not new to us. We know what time it is. All right. Let's see here. All right, we got some things here. Oh, thanks for the love, man. Thanks for the love here. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm getting back to that. I'm getting back to the basics. Getting back to the basics, man. Getting back to the basics. What's happening to the nickel trading? Does it make? Yeah, see, there's a lot of problems going on. Like I said, everything's happening overseas right now. So nickel, is not a commodity futures contract. You can trade it here in the United States. Overseas, out of the country, other places, they allow you to, but not here. They had halted trading several times and all that good stuff. But I don't know. I think anything that has to do with Ukraine, that's what's happening. All right. So Ukraine, I didn't even know this, that, they're a big wheat producer and all that stuff. So Ukraine and Russia are going hand in hand right now. So because Russia supplies pretty much all of Europe with its energy needs with oil, that's an issue. And because Ukraine is a big wheat producer, I think they also have, there's a big nickel mine. I think nickel is also over there in what you call me. So, oh man, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for the love. I appreciate the love. Thank you. And we got my man Will up in the house. Yeah, man, I agree. When you see things bugging like this, man, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, Cable, you make a good point. He wants to know my thoughts on Tesla shutting down Shanghai plant due to lockdown. Okay, first and foremost, you know how I think about things, okay? I'm very different than most people. I know that. I tend to be a bit weird, a bit eccentric. So the way I look at things is not how most people look at things. I have a trust but verify type of a mindset when it comes to news sources. I don't care if it's alternative news, mainstream news. I have a trust but verify type of thing. If it's something that I care about, I'm going to look into it and fact check it for myself. But I always go into it like this: guilty until proven innocent, not the other way around. So, case in point, when I saw the video of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, I was like, wow, okay. But there's something no one's talking about, okay? They're not talking about this, so I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked my family here. I asked my wife and my daughter, my oldest daughter. I said, what do Chris Rock and Will Smith have in common? Other than they are men of a darker complexion. Well, the thing that they have in common is that while Chris Rock is a legendary stand-up comedian, him and Will Smith are also actors. Not only are they actors, but they are very good actors. As a matter of fact, wasn't Will Smith getting an award in the same evening? So that just lets you know about his acting prowess, okay? So because they're both accomplished actors, you have to now ask another question. Who benefits from that situation? Well, let's break the situation down. I believe that that was a staged event. Let me tell you why I believe it was staged. One of the first reasons why, my wife pointed this out to me, is did you notice that him and Jada weren't sitting together? They were not sitting next to each other. That's one. Second thing I noticed is that when Will slapped Chris, Chris did not fight back or defend himself. Instead, he just came back with a funny little punchline. Okay? Third, he did not press charges. Chris is not pressing charges. Now, you know, if that was you or I walking up on that stage and slapping Chris Rock, number one, he would have defended himself, so we would have been up there rumbling on the stage. And second, he would press charges to the fullest extent of the law. I would then be met with his amazing team of lawyers who would make sure that they smoke my boots in court. So you have to ask yourself, why isn't he pressing charges? You were humiliated live on stage in front of millions of people watching, and you don't press charges, and you don't fight back, and you don't even try to defend yourself? That's because it was rehearsed. Now, see, actors are really good at selling you an idea. Okay? Now, if he would have done a fake old spaghetti western slap in a room full of Hollywood elites, they would have picked up and saw that that was a fake slap automatically, right? So you have to make it real, so you have to use a real slap. But the way he slapped him, first of all, it was a slap. Do you know why it was a slap and not a punch? Because the only way to do it is with the slap. Because you can slap a person in a way to make it sound loud and look good, but it's not really hurting the person. Let's be honest. Those under the sound of my voice that are men, would a man slap another man? No, women slap. Men don't slap another man. You punch another man. If a man is disrespecting your wife, you don't walk up to him and slap him. You walk up to him and you punch him. You are aiming at his jaw, hoping to hit the part where the chin meets the jaw so he can be knocked out. And then maybe, depending on how you feel and how bad he disrespected your wife, you might go ahead and run up in his pockets after you knock him out. All right? That's what a man would do. A man would have knocked him out, put him on the ground, not slap him. That's what women do. Women slap, men punch. Because he did not punch this man, you may have to ask yourself a question. Why not? Because you can slap a person for real and not have it leave a mark. Was Chris Rock's mouth bleeding after he did that? No. Was his lip chapped? No. Was his face even like really red or anything? Did you see it bruising up? No. Because slaps are easier to fake than punches. If he would have punched him, then he could have broke something, could have knocked him out. You know, a whole bunch of things could have happened that they can't control. But in a controlled environment, slaps can be made to appear real because he actually allowed his hand to touch his face. But he did it in such a way as not to hurt him because why? Will is a professional actor. Now, on the flip side of that, how did you know, too, that it wasn't Chris Rock's time to have a humiliation ritual? You don't know that, do you? And because we don't know that, we have to say, I call bunk on this. I call BS on the whole thing. It was staged. Now that we know that it was staged, and we know it is because he didn't punch him and because he didn't file charges, you have to ask yourself a question. Who benefits from the fiasco? Well, we can boil it down in like this. What you saw was premium bread and circus for the masses. Who benefits? The government benefits. Want to know why they benefit? Because this is going to be all that people talk about for weeks to come, which makes me believe that something huge is about to jump off any day now. And this is a perfect smokescreen, an excellent distraction from that. So be on your guard. All right. Ears to the ground, and be prepared for something crazy to jump off and for it to be kind of like swept under the rug. So, yeah, I think you're going to see that video go viral if it hasn't already. Um, and that's all social media is going to be talking about. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Why? Because, gossip sells. And that's what they wanted. They want you focusing on, ignorant things, not focusing on this economy, which is coming apart at the seams. The wheels are falling off. Another thing too, is that someone pointed out is a piece that Bloomberg did talking about how to handle the this extreme hyperinflation that's looming and looking us in the face. And basically, they were like, let them eat cake. They were saying, so what? You won't be able to afford to buy meat. Eat beans, eat more lentils. And if you're crying over the gas prices, stop driving your car and get on the bus, ride the bus. That was their response to you on how to deal with hyperinflation in the United States. Because see, the elite and powerful, they don't have to worry about it. They're not going to miss a meal. They're going to have steak on their plate every night for dinner. Because they can go anywhere in the world they want. You can't. And they know that. They know that the masses are going to be starving. The masses are going to be afraid. The masses don't know what to do and need to be told what to do. So they give you a solution. And I guarantee you, people, you're going to hear that parroted. If you haven't already, you're going to start to hear that parroted over social media. I can't wait to see the first people saying, that's all you got to do. Look, I bought beans. Beans are really good and healthy. And here's some nutritional facts and blah, blah, blah. But all that is fine and dandy. But what do you do when there are no beans on the shelf in your local grocery store? What do you do when the shelves are empty? Now, ladies and gentlemen, do you recall the dream I told you I had when I saw that? That was years ago. I saw that dream I had was years ago, where people went into the grocery stores and there was no food. And the dream that I had, we went into the giant food grocery store and the bakery had just made some fresh donuts, but because of limited supplies, I think they were only able to make like maybe a dozen of them or so. And there were some people in the grocery store, and I watched, and I saw the manager took pity on the people who were inside the store at the time and was like, just go ahead and take what you need for free, no charge. And they were basically giving the donuts away to the people. All right. Because there was no food on the shelf. And then the next scene I saw the truck pull up, and they took when the trucks pull up with, supplies for the grocery stores, they're put on what is called pallets. And you take the forklift to take these pallets, and then you load the pallets back in the stock room, blah, blah, blah. Well, I saw when they opened up the back of the truck, when the truck backed up to the loading dock, when they opened it up, everybody was finally excited. Yes, the truck's here. We can finally get some stuff. But there was only one pallet on the tractor trailer. And the pallet was very tiny. Like, I think it had like literal, you could hold the stuff that was in there in one or two hands. That's all that came on the pallet. Imagine only 3 bags of sugar, a bag of rice, and 3 boxes of macaroni and cheese. That's basically what I saw in the dream. That's all that the truck had on it. And they didn't know when another truck was coming. I saw that in a dream years ago, before COVID and before this hyperinflationary environment we find ourselves in. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. This is happening today. It's happening right now. So, bread and circus give the people a nice distraction from the reality that they are facing. So that's why Will Smith smacked Chris Rock. That's why Chris Rock made a joke while his wife was still in the audience. Okay. And they were sitting in the front row. Notice how Will Smith was not sitting in the back and Jada wasn't sitting in the far back. They were sitting in the front. How convenient. How convenient. All right. So now we know what we're doing and where we are. Here's something else. Oh, whoa. Hold on. I didn't see that, Jay. Oh. He says, hey, Dex, here in Germany. The same happened one day ago from a comedian who slapped a rapper that stinks really hard and look very staged. See, there you go. So this is happening around the world, like you just finished saying, Kyle. The slap heard around the world. See? Coordination. Isn't Germany part of the G7 and the G20? Again, this is coordinated. Everything you see has been coordinated and planned out months, if not years in advance. So, yeah, I'm not surprised, my man. I'm not surprised. So, yeah, this is bread and circus. This is a distraction from the economy. Okay. Now, it should be noted that coming into today, if you looked at on your dashboard, the NASDAQ 100 futures had I think I had a negative bias on that one. Let me just pull it up real quick so I can verify that for you. Yeah, we did have a like a crash alert on the NASDAQ futures. Let me check one other thing because I had another screen open. Give me just a second. Yeah, I thought the NASDAQ would possibly lead the way down today, being that it had a little bit of weakness to it coming into it today. Yeah, okay, so here we go. All right, so the NASDAQ on the algo charts, yes, had a primary crash alert on it. All right, now the day's not over with yet. We'll see if we get any downside production, but it looks like we have a top that is formed or is now in the process of forming in the U.S. stock indexes, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We came into today with a primary crash alert on your dashboard. You received this Sunday afternoon before the markets opened, letting you know that that was a possibility. The funny thing is, though, the Dow and the S&P came into today with a continuation pattern. So we were looking for a continuation of what we saw on Friday. And that also includes the Russell. So we looked at continuations, and that's what we were looking for. Now, it's funny because I'm looking at the Dow now. Okay, so it is a possibility still that we could get a little bit of fireworks up in here. So just heads up coming into today, of course, as you already know. It is not uncommon for a particular index in the stock indexes to stand out or apart from or diverge from the rest of the party. That's not uncommon. We saw that back in 2007 into going into 2008, where the Dow, the S&P, and the Russell all hitting new all-time highs, while the NASDAQ was still stuck the same price it was in 2000 when the bubble bursted. All right. It was a long way from even reaching its 2000 highs. Okay. So we could see that happening. It looks like today as well. So I'm watching to see what happens here. But just looking at the algo charts, just know what possibilities that we're looking at today coming into this, so that you're not tricked. Or who was it, honey, that said Manipajip? Remember that character, Manipajip? House of Pain, right? the character with the colorful pants. He said, "You trying to manipulate me?" Yeah, the market may be trying to manipulate you today. So don't fall prey to it. All right, just know coming into today what we're dealing with, what we're working with, and eyes are wide open. So moving on. Now that's funny. Oh, the SHIB crypto. Yeah, man. What is it? Still a hundredth of a penny? You know, that's crazy, man. Um, yeah, I mean, look, we're right where I told you the resistance zones are in the Bitcoin. It is all together broken out this morning. So, excuse me. I think, as a matter of fact, since I have the report in front of me, hold on, 43. Okay, this is a gap. It looks like we have a gap here. Yep, Bitcoin has gapped on the open tremendously on the futures, which means we have a pullback coming before we can really go higher and sustain higher prices. So until today's gap is reconciled on the Bitcoin futures, I think the market is ready to will be pulling back in the near future. Then the market tends to take the gaps out and fill them earlier rather than later, but Bitcoin has been known to linger and wait weeks before it goes back and fills on it. So very interesting today with that one. All right, let's see what else I got for you. I got a couple things. Let's see. Okay, let me show you another screen here. I'm killing two birds with one stone. This is a treat for you guys today. All right, let's see. Here we go. All right. Okay, on the Forex side, as you can see, I went ahead, I held the short pound, and I kept the long Aussie. All right, and you can. This is the ONA platform, or Oanda, however they want to say it. So I'm still holding that one. We'll see what happens. The market is pulling back right now on the Aussie, so we'll see if it's gonna if the bulls are gonna come in here and start to defend. So I'll let it ride for a little bit. I mean, my stop's in, so I'm not really tripping over it. And as you can see here, the British pound is outperforming the Aussie today. All right, up 93 pips in the pound and down 39 pips in the Aussie. So right now the pound trade is outperforming the Aussie trade, but it's still a net gain on the day. That's the power of the pulse waves to put you on the right side of the market. All right, let's see here. What else we got? There was something else. Just bear with me for a second. I'll pull it up, and then I think we'll be done if I can find it. Let's see. Okay. Hold on. Mondays are weird like that. Okay, nope, not there. Okay, I guess we don't have that today. Let me go back for a second. All right, hold on. Give me one more moment. Okay, I knew I had some tech news. Okay, here we go. This is some market stuff going on. Okay, so Elon Musk is talking about war and space travel. Now, in a conversation with Matthias Dopfner, the CEO of Insider's parent company, Axel Springer, Musk discussed the Russian invasion of Ukraine, space travel, and the ideal dinner guest and what makes human beings special. The highlights from that talk is one, the conversation meandered through topics from Russian President Vladimir Putin to Musk's revelation that for one to be fully happy, you must be happy at work and happy in love. Okay, so now I guess he's a prophet. Next, the Tesla CEO commented on the American government, saying it has very, very ancient leadership, and that in the US and elsewhere, there's a serious issue with gerontocracy. Elon, you are a trip, man. You are a trip. Now, I guess we're supposed to take that that double meaning, very ancient leadership, was that a jab at the president? Huh? You know, gerontocracy, which is a state or a society or a group governed by old people, government based on rule by old people. Oh man, a geriatric society, a geriatric government. He has a point. How old is Biden? Like 120, 130? I don't know. Finally, the next piece that he said was when asked his biggest fear, Elon Musk responded with 3 existential threats: religious extremism, a declining birth rate, and artificial intelligence going wrong. Death, however, did not make his list. Elon, man, he said religious extremism. So is he talking about terrorism, homegrown terrorism? I don't know. All right, moving on from that one. So Apple became the first streamer to land a Best Picture Oscar with its coming-of-age drama Coda. The tech giant piped Netflix's Western The Power of the Dog to the top spot during a eventual night for the Academy Awards. Another thing, too, in case you guys didn't hear about this, Apple Computer is also figuring out a way to make you pay a subscription service for your iPhone. So if you want to have access to all the apps that you're used to, you're going to have to start paying for it because they realize that their revenue is down a lot. And the only way to get it back up is to start charging reoccurring subscription fees. Everybody's an app. Everybody wants subscription fees, it seems. That's where the world is going. Let's see here. A Google engineer describes the weeks after finding out they may be laid off. The engineer, one of dozens who were told they'd be let go if they don't find another job at the company, says they experienced a lack of communication that filled the past few weeks with uncertainty. So Google laying people off. Microsoft fired employees after allegations of bribery in the Middle East and Africa. In an essay, a former employee accused the tech giant of turning a blind eye to employees, subcontractors, and government operators engaging in bribery. Isn't bribery extortion in reverse? Documents show Amazon's prototype delivery drones have crashed at least 8 times in the last year. You can't make this stuff up, man. Oh my goodness. Drones falling out the sky, huh? Crashing to the ground. No wonder you're not getting your packages. So if you expecting packages from Amazon and they ain't showed up yet, chances are it blew up when the drone crashed, all right, and caught fire. So there you go. They said it has happened multiple times. Wow, man. Wow. 8 times in the past year. 8 crashes. Wow. That's a lot. That's costly right there. SpaceX Starlink internet poses danger for users in Ukraine, experts say. Starlink terminals are visually distinctive and difficult to camouflage, and Russian troops could consider their users as targets, according to experts. Well, that whole SpaceX thing is another bread and circus, another distraction. All right. They want you to think that, they're flying in outer space and building mansions on the moon and all that other stuff. When you specifically heard the head ups at NASA say they haven't been back to the moon because they can't leave the planet. He said it with his own mouth. So why you got us thinking, got people thinking that you traveling to the moon and you got a rover on Mars and you can't even leave the Earth's atmosphere. You can't leave the dome, man. What in the world? whatever. They got people believing it, and people will dispute you down if you go against that narrative that they are traveling in space. No such a thing. All right. Meet and let's see what else we got. What else we got? Let's see. Electric chart. Nope. All right, that's all we got on the tech front for today. Like I said, mornings are kind of bland sometimes on Mondays. It just depends on what happened over the weekend. All right, let's see. Anything else to talk about here? Russia exposed the fact that more than 300 global biolabs are funded by the U.S. More than 300 biolabs. And when they say biolab, they're not talking about finding cures for cancer. We're talking about bioweapons. Yeah. Also, Russia expelled Slovakian diplomats in retaliation. And the G7 dismisses Russian requests for gas payment in rubles. Well, that's nice. You can do that all you want, but you're not getting your gas if you don't pay them in rubles. So I guess you got a crisis coming over in Europe. And let's see what else we got here going on. I think that's pretty much. Oh yeah, even on the financial magazines, they're talking about how Will Smith slapped Chris Rock and then won an Oscar. Yeah, whatever. Let's see. Global Happiness Index. Let's see what else. Stephen King suspends cooperation with Russian publisher. Yeah. Now, here's another bread and circus we need to deal with. Okay. Now, I understand governments and politics. I understand people beefing. Okay, I understand that. I understand the United States and its allies saying, we're pulling out of Russia. We ain't messing with y'all right now. We ain't dealing with y'all right now. Y'all cut. All right, we gotta cut you back. But for a company to be an agent of politics doesn't make any sense. First of all, companies are supposed to be pretty much agnostic. They're not engaged in politics or religion. A company's sole purpose is profit for its owners and shareholders. It doesn't care about politics. It doesn't care about any of those things. Its primary goal is to make money. So how can businesses afford to stop making money? You're actually telling businesses that if you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to come after you. And that's what it boils down to. So businesses are making it seem like, I'm pulling out of Russia. No, you're being told to. You're being told in no uncertain terms, if you do not, you basically never work here again. Because for a company to cut its own profit base is financial suicide. Especially if a company was making maybe 2/3 of their profit from Russia and Ukraine, and now the government is telling you, well, we beefing with them, so you can't work, you can't sell your products there. If you do, we're gonna hit you with tariffs and everything else, and we'll just run you into oblivion. Because that's really what's happening. When has a business ever concerned itself with the affairs of government? So you got to ask yourself a question. If all these businesses are missing on their earnings reports, which a lot of companies have been missing, and they're blaming the war, they're blaming COVID, restricted, all that stuff, right? Can they really afford to stop doing business with anybody? So this brings us to another issue, ladies and gentlemen. Are we living in a fascist society? After all, isn't a definition of that when you can't tell the difference between government and corporate? The lines have been blurred. You don't know where the companies end and the government begins. Who benefits from this? The businesses don't. Corporations don't benefit. That means, yes, we got someone that just moved to the head of the class. VJJ, yeah, you're right about that. They're getting the money from somewhere else. And that someone else is everybody's favorite uncle in the world. None other than Uncle Sam. He's a jolly old chap. He has agreed to backstop American companies if they play ball. They did the same thing during the COVID. If you notice, the largest corporations didn't have to worry about nothing. They were able to still keep their doors open and make money. All right? And those that agreed to close their doors because the government asked them to, they got relief, whether it be tax relief or whatever, they're good to go. While others were actually basically run out of business. Told you couldn't do business. And if you do business, we're just going to come in and arrest everybody. So the only way companies can make this is on the back end. And we call that backroom dealing, right? When you're making money on the other end, outside of it. That's the only way I can do it. If I'm making 2/3 of my income from Russia, and you tell me I can't do business in Russia anymore, you basically just told me I'm out of business, right? Unless you say, look, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. We'll take care of you. We're going to go ahead and give you an emergency injection of money. So the money that you're going to lose from that, we're going to go ahead and cover it. We'll take care of it. That's what's being done, because after all, these corporations now are deemed human people. That's right. Corporations, I mean, this is something that was battled in the courts, and the courts ruled that corporations now can have religious preferences. A corporation can be seen as a person. That's right. They gave personage to corporations here in America. So a corporation can be religious, a corporation can be anything it wants to be, and they can be political. So you have the merger of state and corporation. After all, wasn't Obama one of the first presidents to overtly make it known that he was allowing the insurance industry to write their own laws? That's another issue with the U.S., and that's why the U.S. is collapsing too, because of all the corruption. See, they think that you, the American person, is stupid and that you don't know what's going on. See, they are making you blame capitalism for their corruption, when in all actuality, it's the corruption that's the problem, not capitalism. You can make the argument that the United States hasn't seen capitalism in decades and has forgotten what it looks like. Because what we see going on right here is not capitalism. Capitalism is finding needs and filling it. That's capitalism, and doing so at a profit. Capitalism at its core is when two parties benefit. Party A needs something from Party B gives it to Party A, and they both walk away happy. You're willing, because Party A is willing to exchange their money, their currency, for the product or service that person B is offering. That's what it is. All right? And the reason why we have capitalism is because of scarcity. All right? Because of scarcity. If natural resources weren't scarce, then there'd be no need for economics. There'd be no need for capitalism. But because we live in a fallen universe, in a world where things are scarce, there is need to economize. There is need for capitalism. All right? But what you're seeing in the United States of America is not capitalism. It's corruption. Case in point. Have you ever wondered why there is a such thing called the top 2, the top 3, the top 4 companies in a particular given sector? That's because they have blockaded and made it impossible for new startups to come and challenge them. That's what they do. Big Fortune 500 companies get together and they lobby the government to enact horrific legislation and rules that would make it impossible for newcomers to come and run the old guard out of business. That's why there's so much bureaucracy and red tape. And that's why things take very long to get government approval, because it has become a racket. It's not capitalism, that is corruption. The government pretends in front of the cameras to be against monopoly, but yet the government itself is a monopoly. And not only that, but the government allows corporations to create monopolies. That's why you have a top four. That's why out of 1,000 companies in a given sector, maybe only 10 will remain. And that's because the ones that have the biggest market share lobby the government to keep other people from coming in. So they keep everyone out because of all their ridiculous rules and regulations and bureaucratic red tape that they lobby for. That way they can stay at the top and run that particular sector and not have to worry about competition. Price fixing is another issue. So take the cable companies, for example, and the cable channels. The only reason why places like Hulu and places like, Netflix and Disney and HBO and all these places exist is because they allowed the laws to be changed and written in favor of the cable companies. You have to ask yourself a question. Why is that? Did you know that it is written even into your local jurisdictions? No competition? That's right. A hidden fact that most people are not aware of is that the cable companies have it very good. They have it great. They have it fantastic, where they don't have to worry about competition because only one cable provider is allowed in any certain and given area. Case in point, take City A, or for that better, we'll use Liberty City. All right, we'll use a GTA reference. So we're in Liberty City. In Liberty City, there are 3 cable providers. However, they're broken down into 3 separate jurisdictions. So each cable company has its section of the city. Therefore, there's no one stepping on toes. 3 cable companies, 3 jurisdictions, making it impossible for a 4th or 5th or 6th cable provider to enter into the city because it's only allowed 1 cable provider in that particular jurisdiction. And it's like that all over the country. That's why you don't have 1 million cable providers. You only got like 3. You dig what I'm saying? So that is also a monopoly. And that is also corruption. Now, you can do this type of assessment in just about every area of life. I don't care what it is. There will be the same situation. All right. Obama allowed the healthcare industry to write its own laws. Did you ever think for a second, going back to the cable situation, did you ever wonder why all of a sudden, why do we have the channels becoming apps in and of themselves? That's right. Cable channels have now become independent on their own, and they have become apps. Instead of going to your cable provider and say, yeah, I want Showtime, I want Stars, I want all that. Yeah, go ahead and give it to me. Now, each cable channel is its own entity and can charge a separate fee altogether, and they have their own app. So you got HBO Plus, and then you got Stars and Showtime. They all have their own app and their own separate subscription. That's right. So now, even Disney has an app. Netflix has their thing. Amazon Prime has theirs. But you would think, oh, this is great because now instead of paying $1 million a month for cable because I want all the channels, I can just pick and choose which channels I want and just have a subscription through the app. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Yeah, that's great. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So now let's break this down. Where did this come? You didn't see this 10 years ago. Want to know why? Because the legislation was recent. All right. Over the last couple of years, this bill was passed allowing cable companies to do something. Remember that net neutrality? Remember that? Net neutrality is no longer a thing. It is real life. You can slow down some people's speed, speed up other people's speed. If you're willing to pay for it, you can get even better speeds on your net and your internet. See, cable companies know that they're not going anywhere. All right, because they have been allowed to be the gatekeepers of the internet. They lobbied for it and they got exactly what they wanted. Now, you may be asking yourself, how and where's your proof or evidence for this, right? All right, let's get deeper. So, in the early 2000s, something very unique happened. In the early 2000s, Verizon came on the scene as a direct competitor to Comcast and Time Warner and all that stuff, right? And they said, okay, we have better speeds. We're superior to the cable company. We got you. We got you going. We got Verizon Fios. We got fiber optic cable. We're going to take fiber from fiber to the cable to fiber directly to the back of your television. Fiber, fiber, fiber. And everybody was like, "Ooh, this is amazing." But there was only one problem. And because American people, for the most part, I'm so sorry to say this, are stupid. They didn't know that even if you were to switch to an all fiber network at that time, you didn't have a device that could run the fiber. All right. Once the fiber ran to the back of your TV, that's where the fiber stopped. Most televisions at that time could not run the fiber. Couldn't even look at it. Couldn't do nothing. There was no 4K. There was no K at the time as far as televisions were concerned. You had just 720 and 1080p, whatever. That was it. And that was considered state of the art at the time. So the rules worked great. A lot of people switched from Comcast to Verizon. But there was a problem, though. See, Verizon became really big after the split up of Ma Bell. And so Verizon pretty much owned just about every phone line throughout the country. Now, for those that are younger and don't know what I'm talking about, there used to be a time where there was no cell phones, where everyone had what is called a landline. L-A-N, landline, not land like raw land you buy, but land, L-A-N, landlines. All right, you had a rotary dial telephone or you had a push button telephone. And those phone lines then were converted to your DSL. Y'all remember the DSL, which was better than the dial-up internet? Okay. So that's how Verizon entered the scene. They had the DSL, which was the cheaper alternative to your cable internet. Now, of course, what happened was your first internet that came out was the dial-up. Everyone remembers America Online, AOL. Okay, those that weren't born then don't know what I'm talking about. But back then we had a thing called dial-up, which was your internet was accessed through a phone line. Okay, you had a phone line, and you would dial up, and they had certain connections in your local area. There was, it's the phone company, so you had these servers and switches, and you could get online. The only problem with dial-up, again, this is the beginning. This is the infancy of the internet. You could get kicked offline, especially during high traffic times, and you had to find another connection number to connect to. And so it was a game, whack-a-mole. Hopefully you get a good line and you can stay on as long as you need it to. But then the internet, as you know, technology changes a lot and it changes rapidly. So then you started having more sophisticated internet sites, more sophisticated websites, more sophisticated web pages where dial-up was insufficient to handle it. You couldn't log on because you didn't have the bandwidth. That was the problem with dial-up. You had pretty much no bandwidth. Bandwidth didn't exist for all intents and purposes. So what came next, which was a really interesting thing, was, oh, you know what, you guys? I have a T1 line and I have a T3 line, which is supposed to be way faster than your dial-up. And around that time, they had something else too. Then that's when the cable companies came and said, "Hey, we offer internet too now. We just got to prove that now." And cable is way faster than dial-up, and we'll even go toe to toe with your T1 and T3 lines. Now, keep in mind, T1 and T3 lines were super expensive. Super expensive. Dial up, man, you could get it free for 30 days or 90 days. I remember going to the grocery store and getting those discs. You had to get a disc, like a CD disc, and they were free at the grocery store. You just go in and just grab a CD disc, and you could get online. Getting online was free. You didn't need anything. All you needed was a phone. If you had a phone, you was on the internet. Then the cable company came and said, "We're the fastest, we're the best, we're the most reliable," and here we go. All right. Well, so you had at one point during the transition period, you had multiple technologies competing all at once. There was a point in time where you had America Online, DSL, and you had your cable, and you had your T1, T3 lines, all going at the same time. All right. And then you were left with just the cable. America Online, Net Zero, all those places went out of business and went belly up because they just could not compete with the cable. Okay. T1, T2, T3 lines went out of business too, because for the most part, no one could afford it. And you could get more consistent reliability through your cable. The cable companies also ran the other people out of business because not only were they up, they stay up all the time and keep you connected. You didn't have to dial in and connect every time you wanted to get online. You stayed connected. So that's what the cable internet lines provided you. Okay. And then, right, and like I said, in the early 2000s, then that's when the DSL was still kicking, because DSL is like we're way faster than the old guard of dial-up. So DSL replaced dial-up. Dial-up is gone, doesn't exist, right? You got DSL now. So a lot of people who couldn't afford the cable internet got DSL. DSL was bragging because it stayed up too. You didn't have to always connect DSL. You're always online. And DSL, for the most part, was pretty good. But DSL had a problem. The same issue that was plaguing DSL was the same issue that was plaguing America Online. What is that? Bandwidth. You didn't have the bandwidth. Now, it's true with DSL, I could have 5 tabs open on my browser, whereas with dial-up, I can only have maybe 1, and if I'm pushing it, maybe 2. All right. But with the DSL, I could have at least 5, maybe even 10 tabs open on my web browser. But because of the bandwidth issue, it struggled because technology was outpacing your connection to the internet. So websites became even more sophisticated. Instead of HTML code, you had HTML5 and all these other things. And so it struggled to stay up to date with the sophistication of the internet. Now, I believe that DSL is still out there, but in certain regions it's more limited. It should be noted too. This is a notable mention. I can't forget satellite TV. Okay, so satellite TV, direct TV, started to try to wage war and compete with the cable companies, and they said, you know what? We just got our approval, and we offer internet also. Now, one of the biggest providers was a place called Hughes Network, or Hughes. Hughes is a satellite TV service that started offering internet. Now, there's a problem with satellite. Give me the pros and cons. First, the pros. The pros for companies like Hughes is that their niche market was people out in the boonies. If you're out in the middle of the woods, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, where the closest human being to you is a 3-hour drive. Okay. Hughes was the company for you. Satellite TV works anywhere on the planet, and we offer you internet. But there was a problem with the satellite internet. Satellite internet is good for checking your email and good for web browsing to a certain degree. They put it on their advertising literature that if you intend to stream shows, watch shows, TV on your computer, if you intend to day trade stocks on your computer, and yes, it specifically in their literature specifically warned that you will not be able to stream live shows, and you will not be able to day trade stocks on your computer with their service because they had limited bandwidth. And it was when I say limited, I mean extremely limited. You could go over your monthly limit in a matter of hours if you weren't careful. And then your speeds would be sorely limited. So Hughes was for people out in the boonies who needed to check email and do limited surfing on the internet. Not stay on the internet all day, just on the internet for maybe an hour or two. That's what Hughes was for. And yes, their service was mad expensive. All right, mad expensive. Okay. So they, to my knowledge, they still exist because that's still a need. People still live out in the country. They can't get cable. And so that is right now. You got DSL. I think that's through CenturyLink, and then you got your Hughes with the satellite, and then of course you got cable. Now I gave you this history for a reason. I'm taking you somewhere. What happened was, or should I say, what happened was, Comcast knew that they had their monopoly in place. They even admitted to their staff that they overcharge for their services, and the reason why they do it is because they can get away with it. Because where else are you going to go? Remember, your local jurisdictions signed agreements. They signed agreements with the cable companies, the cable providers, all right, so that they could have their own territory. So, like, for instance, Centerville in Virginia, Northern Virginia. Okay, right next door to each other, right? You got Comcast, and then you had like Verizon Files, and then you had another cable company. The name of the company slips my mind at the present, but there's a Cox. There you go, Cox Cable. So Cox and Comcast are the kings of Northern Virginia as far as internet. Cox has their little jurisdiction, and Comcast has theirs. Okay. What the cable companies started doing, since they had the monopoly going and they had these written agreements with the local jurisdictions and individual states where they operate in the counties, is they started doing something that Verizon started doing after it took over from Ma Bell. What Verizon started doing is leasing out their landlines to smaller telephone companies. So isn't that, I mean, I don't know if that's not pimpish. I don't know what pimpish is. Think about it. Verizon Files would let ABC Telecom Company come and lease its landlines. All right. So you think you have choice, but you really don't have choice, because even your choice you made, they're still using Verizon lines. So you saw these little telephone companies start popping up, and little cable companies popping up all over the place, because the cable companies took a page from Verizon and was like, hey, we can lease out our lines too to smaller companies. And then they were like, okay, we don't like this. And they start buying up all the local, the small local traditional cable companies. Comcast started buying them up, and so did Verizon. They start scooping them up. All right. Now, it's not, all easy. It's not all gravy for them, because when you buy an older, smaller cable company, you're going to have to, depends on how they left their services, you're going to have to go in and redesign and restructure the services, especially like on the cable side, if they're using, old RG cables from the Stone Ages, where you crimp the ends of them. That's a no-no, because when you crimp the ends of your cable, you cause attenuation of signal, and you can have all types of issues. So they got to come in and they got to relay all those cable lines and all that stuff, right? Redo the tap, probably install a new NID, who knows? But it's a lot of stuff they got to do, and it could get quite expensive. All right, so what Comcast opted to do and other cable companies is, if the cost exceeded how much money they could make in the neighborhood, they would leave the old prehistoric cables in the ground, or if they were aerial, leave them as is, and you would just have sucky signal. But at least you could get online and you could still watch TV, but your signal will be a little spotty. Okay, and they knew this. I think on average they had a thing. I think Comcast had a thing of something like 70 or 75,000. 70 or $75,000 was like the cutoff. If it cost more than that to bring the older cable lines up to their standard, then they would just leave it be. But if it was less than that, and they got enough interest in the neighborhood, then they would come in and they would redo it. All right, so that's how the cable companies worked. Now, this is what they were able to do. This started when Obama was in office, and it culminated under Trump. Okay, so what they did was they said, look, we want to be considered utilities because we're important. All right, we're not just TV anymore. We're cable, and we're not just cable anymore. We're the internet. We're a utility. We're a necessity. And it took a while, but the government and Congress finally agreed and said, you sure are. You are a utility. You are essential. Therefore, yeah, what is it? What can we do for you? And I said, what you can do for us, first of all, is you need to end this net neutrality nonsense and let us do what we do. The government said, you know what? Fine. It's about time. We'll let you do what you do. So now you have all the individual television cable stations going 100% independent and not having to rely on Comcast anymore because they have an app. They got an app. They got websites. You can go. You can pay them money directly. Comcast doesn't get any of it, and they can be independent and do their thing. All right. Now, the internet is the only issue that's left on the table. Cable companies knew that this day would come. They knew that their hold over you with your television needs would soon come to a head. And now you have it. You have direct TV. You got all these different satellite TVs you can get. You don't have to have Comcast to watch TV. So with Comcast, they made a business decision and said, you know what, we're going to start, we realized we can basically give the cable away for free because they don't make any money off cable. All right. You heard it here first. Cable companies like Comcast make zero off of the cable TV channel subscriptions that they offer you. That does not keep the lights on. The thing that keeps the lights on is the internet. All right. And now because they offer VoIP, you can have your triple play. You can have your phone service through them. You can have your cable through them, and you got your TV through them. And they use that triple play for years. And things start changing when Obama got in office. Laws and legislation start changing, and they were successful in their lobbying. And guess what? Now they got cell service. So Comcast offers cell. You got your phone. You got your cell phone, and they still got the traditional landline service where you get phone over your internet line instead of the traditional land phone line. And then they started saying, hey, we can get into the security business. So they offer home security. They have all these different products and services that are aside from internet, but they are tied into the internet because it goes with the smart technology. So the smart technology push that you've been seeing in the tech sectors is benefiting Comcast and other cable companies who have now evolved into internet companies. They're no longer really cable companies. The TV station thing, they never made money off of that anyway. They're all about internet. That's why they'll never go anywhere, because they're all about the internet. You need them to get online. You cannot get online without them. You need the, so they know that everyone at some point is going to have to do business with the cable company. If all you want is the internet, they charge you an arm and a leg for that internet because that's their bread and butter, and they can do it, and they offer you different speeds at different prices, and they do that because they can, and because there's no competition allowed. All right, very limited ISP providers, and here in the country of the United States, they can get away with that. Again, this is nothing more than, go ahead and say the word, you want to say it, monopoly. All right. And it also has corruption in it because they're able to lobby the government to give them special privileges and to allow them to close the door on competition. So if you and I wanted to become an ISP, good luck. You're not going to be able to do it. All right. They made that way for a reason. Okay. So it is what it is. Okay. You make a good point, my man. You make a good point. He says, I feel like the electric companies are doing that now. Got solar planes 2 years ago, and the transport fee to take our energy from us and sell it back keeps going up. Yes. Now, see, you bring up that's a whole nother issue. And these issues do go together because they overlap as far as time frame. Do you remember when the electric companies opened up competition? Because, they lobbied. You think the people asked for it, giving people choice, electric choice. You can choose this provider, or, this in your state, or actually choose a provider outside of your state because their rates may be cheaper. But here's where they get you, though. Whatever happens in that state happens to you. So let's say you are in the sunshine state of Florida. You never see snow. All right. The only time you see snow is on TV when you watching The Grinch during Christmas time. Okay. But because, let's say, Rhode Island or Buffalo, we'll go Buffalo, New York, because Buffalo, New York energy company is so much cheaper, you opt to get your energy from Buffalo. So what happens is, if Buffalo is having a blizzard, like, when aren't they having a blizzard in the winter, and the power goes out, so does your power. Even though you're in a sunshine state of Florida and it's sunny outside and it's 70 degrees on the beach, you are the only one in your neighborhood that doesn't have any electric because Buffalo is having an outage. They're having a blizzard. So that's the downside of getting your energy out of state, is because whatever affects them affects you. So you have to take that into consideration. So yes, they opened the door for the electric companies to monopolize that way too. Do you really think that was to help you? Of course not. Remember, if you don't see the money up front, that's because someone's getting paid in the back. Same way that mortgage companies operate. You got your front end points, or you get your points on the back. You loan officers know what I'm talking about. That's how you would get them. You better, look, man, I can offer you this crazy low rate. You can lock in with me right now. No points, 0 points. You ain't 0 points. What you don't understand is that I'm getting 3 points on the back. The bank is going to pay me 3 points off the rip, and I don't have to even include that on my form. You don't have to put it on the mortgage application. So yeah, what you have seen is very intricate, controlled corruption in the economy of the United States. You haven't seen capitalism. You've never seen free markets because they don't exist anymore. No, we have something totally different. We have fascism in our government coupled with a controlled market, an interventionist market. Why do you think they keep asking the Fed to bail them out? Because that is intervening. The Fed what? The Fed intervenes. That's what interventionism is. You ask the government to intervene, and they do. Keep us safe financially. Don't let the market go down. Don't let the market collapse. That's what it's about. So, yeah, you've never seen it, ladies and gentlemen. So, all this bread and circus that you are seeing is meant to do one thing: distract. Distract you from economic implications of horrific decisions made by your elected as well as non elected officials that run your government. They elected to close the global economy because someone had a cold. Then they elevated it to a pandemic to justify them closing and shutting down their society. They did a global reset on you, but they called it something else so that you wouldn't be none the wiser. They said it was a pandemic. We had to do it. You didn't have to do anything. Even if you agree to all the official numbers from the CDC regarding the pandemic, it still doesn't, it's only a drop in the bucket to the devastation that the AIDS virus has caused people since the 1980s. All right. Look how many people died because of HIV/AIDS versus how many people died because of the pandemic. And let's just assume that all the numbers that we've been given, all the official numbers are correct in the pandemic. It still pales in comparison to the lives that have been lost due to HIV/AIDS. Even though people can live longer and productive, healthy lives now with it, it wasn't always the case. Again, how many lives have been lost to HIV/AIDS versus the pandemic? Pales in comparison. They didn't shut down the global economy for that. No, they didn't. You have to ask yourself a question. Why is that? Because they knew they had to reset everything. They knew they had to tear down the old to bring in the new. So while everyone was 2 days in a maze and frightened, they pulled the whammy over your eyes and rolled in the new economy. They rolled in the new world order overnight. And here it is. And it's only going to get worse from here. It's going to be crazy. All right. That's what's up. Okay. It is what it is. Yeah, absolutely. But, and the question is, there, for those that are listening and not watching the live stream, the remark is, I remember in an old stream you mentioned how all screens on 9/11 went crazy high, then down to zero. Is that the day capitalism ended? That's a good question. The answer to that question is yes and no. Yes, because of them closing the markets. No, because it actually happened technically in 2000 when the NASDAQ bubble popped. That's when Congress was lobbied on hard to protect America from itself and never let what happened in the 90s happen again. See, people lost their rights in 2000. What happened in 2001 just solidified and locked the door. 2000 closed the door. 2001 locked the door and barred you in there for life. So what happened was in 2000, as you know, the NASDAQ bubble bursted and people lost a lot of money. Some people lost all their money, even their life savings or their inheritance. So they cried. They cried to the government and said, woe is me. I'm so ignorant. I'm so inexperienced. I have been taken advantage of by Wall Street. I didn't know what I was doing. Yes, I am a grown man. Yes, I am a grown woman. But for the sake of this complaint, I am an infant. I am an idiot. I am a dummy. I am stupid. I am slow of speech. I am slow of thought. I did not know that markets could go down. No one told me that markets could go down. No one told me that there is risk involved. I thought that all I had to do was buy JDS Uniphase, buy Tyco, buy WorldCom, buy Enron, and the market would make me rich and I would never have to work again in my 20-year-old life. I did not know that just because these internet companies put the word net after their name, that it meant that they could never go down. I didn't know that. I didn't know that these companies that were talking about earnings that they physically never had ever made yet, they hadn't made not one profit, but yet their stock was trading at a zillion times earnings. I didn't know that the market could collapse. I just didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know about what I didn't know. Woe is me. Can you do something? Can you please give me back my money that I lost? I promise I'll never do it again. I promise. Please. Please, Uncle Sam. Did I not mention, Uncle Sam, that you're my favorite uncle? All the other uncles pale in comparison to you and your bell-bottom pants with the red and white stripes. Nobody is as fly as you, Uncle Sam. Look at your red, white, and blue top hat. That top hat, is a symbol of power. And I saw your power the moment you walked into the room, Uncle. Please, Uncle Sam, give me back my money, Uncle Sam. And then another voice came into the room and said, Uncle Sam, I'm not like that person. I don't want you to make me whole. I know you can't, Uncle Sam. I'm not even gonna put that burden on you, Uncle. You my favorite uncle too. You so cool. You got so much swag. Uncle Sam, what I want to do, see, I'm more noble than my brother there. I just want you to do something for me, Uncle Sam. What is that? What can I do for you, child? Well, Uncle Sam, could you make it so that this never happens again to anyone else? Can you make it so that no one else loses all their money in the market? Can you just do that for me? I just want to make sure that no one else suffers what I have suffered. Well, nephew, I must tell you, because of your nobility and because you came to me and you asked me not to make you whole, but to help other people, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make it so that starting today, this will never happen again. That is the day that you lost your capitalism. That's the day that capitalism ended for the little guy. See, what you don't know is that as a result of people crying foul play when the NASDAQ bubble bursted, the government came in and made it so that that will never happen again. I don't think you guys are hearing me. I don't think you understand what I'm saying to you. Did you know that prior to the day that the bubble bursted, that there were thousands of people who became millionaires just by day trading equities? Did you know that? That time in the US history made more millionaires out of the little people than at any other time in US history. It was so big, you would have thought, if I could take you back, for those that weren't alive and don't know what I'm talking about, if I could have taken you by the hand and took you back, you would be blown away. It became such a fad that trading cafes opened up around the country. Not internet cafes, trading cafes. You walk in off the street, there's a computer terminal right there. You can log into your trading account and sit there all day if you want, trading your trading account, trading stocks. Before there was internet cafes, there were trading cafes. Remember, there's no new thing under the sun. These new age trading cafes were nothing more than Mr. Livingston's bucket shops from the book Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Your modern day bucket shops at that point in time became internet trading cafes. They were everywhere, all over the country. During that time, too, you had the emergence of prop trading firms. Now, prop trading firms were a little bit different than your little trading cafes. A prop firm, you come in off the street, you put up, let's say, $10,000 of your own money, and then the prop firm will then give you access to their money up to $1 million of leverage. That's right, up to $1 million of margin you could use to trade. All you had to have was a minimum of 10 grand, and then you could use up to $1 million in trading capital and leverage to trade stocks all day. And you would have to go and pass your Series 7 for legal ramifications and all that stuff, and then you could trade there. Okay, so there was a rise and a boom of prop trading firms and trading cafes and trading groups. You know how people have investment clubs? Well, there was a rise of trading clubs that operated just like investment clubs. Everybody was Warren Buffett. Everybody at that point was Mr. Livingston from Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Everybody was Mr. Livingston. Everybody was Larry Williams. Everybody was Ken Roberts. Everybody was Peter Schiff. Everybody was Victor Needlehofer. Everybody was one of the turtles. Everybody was a genius, because all you had to do was buy any stock in the tech sector and become a millionaire. It looked so easy, people thought it would never end. So they said, "Mr. Government, please help me, Uncle Sam." And Uncle Sam said, I've given you the problem. You've expressed your reaction. Now let me give you my solution. Uncle Sam's solution was to make sure that we will never have that many millionaires be made overnight by the little guy ever again. And so they slammed the door shut. You can no longer walk into a day trading cafe, open an account with $500 and day trade all day, make hundreds of trades. You cannot do that anymore. They said, here you go, pattern day trader rule, PTD, pattern day trader. All right, that's what you are. And if you want to day trade, well, you can't do it with $500 anymore, because most brokerages will let you open an account with as little as $500. Now the minimum is like $10,000 or $2,000. So a lot of firms are $2,000, some are $3,000, and then some are $10,000. And if my memory serves me correct, I think TradeStation is still $50,000. All right, that's how much money you have to have in your account before you can start trading. Now, you still can't day trade. Day trading, if you want to day trade in the United States of America, by the way, this is the only place on earth where this rule exists, is America. You got to put up 25 grand in your account. And that money is not used for margin, and it's not used for trading. You just have to put it there and let it sit there. Then after you've done that, now you can fund your account with the trading capital, with the principal you're going to be using to day trade with. At no time is that 25,000 that you put in there to be used for margin or for trading. It's just there sitting in your account. Because if your account drops below 25,000, now the pattern day trade rule is going to come into effect. You're only allowed 3 in and out round turns in a rolling 5-day period under the pattern day trade rule. So if you go in and buy Amazon today and take profit by the close, and you do the same thing again tomorrow, and then you do the same thing again Wednesday, okay, you're done. You can't day trade anymore. A day trade simply means you cannot buy a security and sell the security in the same day. That is a day trade, even if you lose money. If I buy Amazon today, right now, while I'm talking to you, and then sell it an hour later, that's a day trade. That's one round turn, one day trade. I have 2 more times to do that before I cannot do it for a rolling 5-day period. And if you do it, they're going to hit you with the pattern day trader insignia, and you got to have that 25,000 margin in the account at all times, and that cannot be considered your trading capital. You need to fund the trading capital after that if you don't want to end up falling victim to the rule. All right. Please understand that was Uncle Sam's answer to your request. That was his solution to your reaction. So you can't make it rich doing that anymore. You just can't. Now, what goes around comes around. Now enter the new age. We don't have the internet trading cafes anymore. We don't have the bucket shops like that anymore. Not at all. But in a way, yes, we do. The crypto craze is now the new bucket shop. And that's why the government is scrambling and falling over itself to regulate it. So they can hit you with the know thy customer rule. Okay? KYC. Know your customer. So they can tax it. The government wants to tax everything that can be taxed. If they can tax your thoughts, they'll tax that too. All right? So this is where we are today. Think about it. It's tough, isn't it? And again, this is only in America. If you were anywhere outside of the United States, you wouldn't be having these problems. You could do whatever you want. They don't have the pattern day trade rule. Not at all. So people overseas right now have more freedom, economically speaking, than anyone in the United States, because they have access to trading vehicles and instruments that you will never have access to in America. Now, to let you know how much Uncle Sam loves and cares about you, did you know not only did you get punched in the face with a pattern day trade rule, but they also hurt you when they said, oh, by the way, we know it's 2011 and we're going into 2012, but guess what? We got to protect you from yourself one more time. It has been brought to our attention that Americans are trading spot metals, spot gold, spot silver, spot platinum, spot palladium, and we can't let you do that. We got to protect you. So they made it illegal for you to trade spot metals. Without warning, they just blasted a lot of people. I was one of those people. I got my face ripped off. Intraday, without warning, I'm in a futures, I'm in a spot metals position, gold and silver. They take me out of the trade without warning, saying, "Oh, your government said you're no longer able to trade spot metals," and I took a big loss. They would have turned into a hefty profit. That's right. They took me out of my position. Intraday. Thank you, Uncle Sam. So in the States, you cannot trade CFDs. You cannot trade spot metals. Okay? You can't. They've taken a lot of financial instruments away from you and the ability to day trade stocks. It's your money. You should be able to do with your money what you want to do. But nope, we're protecting you from yourself. So nope, can't do it. So just think, can you imagine how different our economy would look if the average person working at Walmart and McDonald's could open a trading account at Charles Schwab for $500 and day trade any stock they wanted all day long on margin? Could you imagine? Our economy would look a lot different. But because this is no longer a free market, because this is no longer capitalism, this is what you get. All right? The tyranny it doesn't just extend to your loss of rights and privacy, but it extends to your right to do with your money as you please as an adult. We're in a nanny state. The government tells you what you can do with your money. So this is what it is. This is what it is. Yeah, back in my broker days, man, I got a lot of clients who took the Ken Roberts course, commodity course. As a matter of fact, we wanted to write letters of gratitude to Ken Roberts, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the clients we had, back in my broker days. I've raised a lot of people. Ken Roberts single-handedly is responsible for bringing more people to the commodities market than anyone in U.S. history. Ken Roberts, whether you like him or not, whatever you want to say about him, He brought more people to the commodities futures market than anyone else. And for that, anyone who was a commodity futures broker is forever in his debt because he brought you a lot of clients, really, like straight up. So this has been a little primer course on how we got to where we are today. And this should concern you because we are in so much trouble. All right. And I just wanted to let you know that. So, yeah, this is where we are, man. I'm not surprised at what I'm seeing. I'm just not. And I know that the middle class in America has been systematically destroyed. They're calling for recession, but I'm telling you that it is a depression. We're gonna experience everything on that spectrum. Seriously, deflation, inflation, deflation, stagflation, stagnation, you name it. That's what this is going to be. Okay, that's what you're seeing right now. So if you were unsure on what was going on, now you know. All right. And I've been doing my best to document this collapse. And I'm hoping that I can educate, if I can educate at least half as many people as Ken Roberts and Larry Williams have educated over the years, then I know I've done my job. That's why I exist on YouTube. I'm trying to help as many people, all right, that I can, because the wheels are falling off, okay? It is what it is. And the sooner you know that, the better. So this is a time that we've come to where you need the pulse waves more than ever before, my man. That goes for you too, young lady. Okay. It is what it is. Where do we go from here? I think disaster. One of the first things they taught us when I first got my securities license, for those who don't know, I started in commodity futures. I was a commodities broker. The whole commodity futures industry is built and geared around crisis. Okay, so the more crisis, the more money can be made. Okay, thanks, Kyle. I appreciate that, man. Good looking, good looking. We have an issue, and we have the responsibility, those that know, to educate as many people as we can. My job is to help you guys make as much money in these markets as you can before it gets to a point where it'll be too late. Okay. What do I mean by that? Well, simply put, I believe that the economic crisis has not even started yet. I believe what you saw in 2020 was nothing but a drop in the bucket, and it will pale in comparison to what's happening. Again, during a hyperinflationary situation, you still need funds. You still need currency. I don't care how worthless the currency is. You're still going to need it to transact business because you know what they're going to do. Okay? You have to have money still to survive. I don't care if it costs a wheelbarrow full of $100 bills to buy a sandwich. Would you rather have that wheelbarrow of $100 bills so you can get a sandwich, or would you rather have no wheelbarrow at all? I'd rather have the wheelbarrow myself. Okay. So you need to understand that. My job is to get you to the yams as quickly as possible. All right. Yeah. Remember the episode of Martin when the comedian I forget his name, Tommy something, was on the show. Varnell, he played Varnell Hill. That was the character. Excuse me. And Martin in the middle of the show was like, yo, man, look, man, I'm struggling here. And this thing I got going on here, man, it's just not cutting it. It's just not cutting it, man. I'm trying to get to the yams. How can I get to the yams? Well, trust me, you need to get to these yams. And you need to get to these yams right now. All right. You can do this. You can do this. I've done all the hard part. All you got to do is watch the tutorial videos, which are very easy, done by me and Frank, explaining everything to you, what to do, and how to do it. That's it. All right. The market takes care of the rest. You need this. I mean, I don't care if you don't do so well. If you only make $100 a month, I'd rather have $100 a month than no dollars a month. And think about it. You already got income. Most people that they listen to this, they have jobs or they trade full time or whatever it is you do. You need multiple streams of income. And the best way that I know how to do that is with these markets, man. Learn how to sell short. If you don't know anything about crypto, learn how. We got you. We teach you how to do Forex, crypto, futures, stocks, options, you name it. We got you. All you got to do is take the first step because you're going to need this. Trust me. The day is coming where they're going to get people in such a bad situation that they're not going to be able to open margin stock trading accounts at all. All right. The day is coming where you won't even be able to open up a crypto account. Okay. Straight up. All right. I got to tell you what it is, man. It's happened before. I just gave you the history of them doing their interventionist techniques. It's not going to stop. It's only going to get more. They've taken away so much of our rights. We're not even aware of all that they've taken. They have got you to the point where you don't even know until you try to do something. That's when you realize you've lost your freedom and you lost your anonymity. You lost your adultness because the government's taking it from you. And you won't know it until you try to do something that you haven't done before. Like those of you that don't have any kind of trading account, I double dare you to try to open one and let's see what happens. Some of you under the sound of my voice, you won't be able to open one. They're not going to let you. Facts. They're not going to let you. Okay? You're not going to be able to do it. So understand that going into it. Because what you don't know is they're going to say, you got bad credit. We don't like your credit report. We don't like what you said on social media. No, you got a low social media score. So we're not going to let you open this account. Nope. You're going to start hearing the word no a lot more by your government. You're going to be hearing the word no a lot. You're going to start going to the bank and hearing the word no. Okay? Straight up. It is what it is. All right? You got to know the world you're living in. You got to know what's going on. And you got to be alert so that you can do what you got to do. In closing, I'll leave you with this. I know it's a lot going on, but most of the stuff you hear is going to be noise and it's going to be filler. It's not important. Okay. You don't have to sit in front of your computer screen, watching non-stop news feeds. That ain't healthy. You got to have a balance in your life. You got to have a balance. Okay? So think about what I said today. And you got to do the knowledge to stuff. You got to kick back sometimes and just reflect. You got to reflect and know what's real and what's fake. and take a breather from the news. I'm not saying be stupid and be oblivious to what's going on around you. I'm saying the opposite. You don't want to become too distracted, all right, with of everything that's going on. All the news that's out there is not for your consumption, okay? You don't have to know everything that's going on in the world at all times. You just need to know what's going on first in your local area. That's first, all right? That's first. Know what's going on in your local area, all right? Know what bills are coming up in your state, in your town, your municipality, whatever they're voting on. Know what's going on there first. Open your eyes and take inventory of your surroundings where you live. Do you see bank branches closing? Do you see McDonald's closing? Do you see 7-Elevens closing in your area? If you've answered yes to any one of those, bank branches, McDonald's, 7-Elevens, then you have a problem in your city, in your town, in your municipality. You have an economic reality staring you in the face, and you would do well to get ahead of it. All right. Bank branches shutting down, McDonald's shutting down, 7-Elevens shutting down. If you live in the United States of America and you see any one of those three happening, there is a problem that you may or may not be aware of in your local municipality. All right. Budget shortage and shortfalls, things of that nature. Okay. There's a reason why I say that. All right. Because these are the giants of industry, the backbone of America's economy. All right. McDonald's, Walmart's, banks, 7-Elevens. 7-Eleven is a fixture in American life because 7-Eleven goes all the way back to what I like to call our Victorian age. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you are not alive during this time, so I'll just tell you there was a time where stores were not open 24 hours a day. There was a time in America where stores would be closed by 6 p.m. There were times where if you didn't get what you needed from the pharmacy before it closed on Friday, you had to wait till Monday to get those prescriptions filled because stores were closed on Sundays. Most stores were closed on Sunday, including grocery stores, closed on Sunday. Okay? Banks closed on Sunday. Banks closed on Saturday. There was a time in the not too distant past where that was the case. So and the reason why these particular situations are noteworthy is because during this Victorian period of American history, where some of you were alive, you know what I'm talking about, you remember, 7-Eleven was that store that you could go to when all the other stores were closed. When your local grocery store was closed because it's a holiday, 7-Eleven will be open. All right. For those in the DMV, you remember 7-Eleven's competitor? It was called Highs. Do y'all remember Highs in the DMV? Now the funny thing about Highs in the DMV, that's DC, Maryland, Virginia, tri-state area. Highs was actually high. When you go in there, their prices were sky high. They made 7-Eleven look like a Walmart in comparison as far as prices. Highs was mad high. But you needed them because they were open on the weekends and they were open on Sunday and they were open on holidays. So that was a place you could go if you needed something. Now, yeah, if you go in there, a couple of Tylenol tabs may cost you $10, whereas normally $1.50 at the grocery store. But hey, that's what 7-Eleven was for, that emergency. You could go in there, you could get a carton of eggs. You know what I'm saying? And pay 2-3 times as much for it. But hey, That's what they were there for, convenience. All right. So if you see a 7-Eleven closing, that's a problem. Why do I say that? Because 7-Eleven is also one of the old school, triple OGs of the economy where they sold everything. You could get, pain medicine. You could get feminine hygiene products. You could get prophylactics. You could buy beer. And you could get lottery tickets, and you could even pay some bills there, utilities there, and they would even cash checks. So a 7-Eleven was a fixture in American society, especially, in the inner city, in the urban areas and even in suburbia. Very important. It was a staple of our economy. So to see a 7-Eleven go away, that's problematic. Next was McDonald's. Everyone knows that McDonald's is a staple in the U.S. economy because McDonald's is one of the last places that, impoverished people can go and afford to eat because they got a dollar menu. You can go buy a sandwich for $1. You can get a sandwich for $3. You can get a sandwich, a small fry, and maybe even a small drink for $3. So poor people could go into McDonald's and get something to eat, get a meal. Poor people could afford to eat there 3 times a day. All right. So it only costs you about $10 a day to get meals. You can get breakfast, lunch, and dinner for about $10-15 a day. Okay. So that cuts your grocery bill in half. If you're a single person with no spouse, no kids, you can afford to sustain yourself. Now, I didn't say anything about it being healthy or nothing like that, but the point is, you see my point. You could eat. It's my point. So if you see 7-Eleven closing, going out of business in your area, closing its only store in your neighborhood, and McDonald's closing its only store or one of its stores in your neighborhood, those are 2 check marks, 2 red marks, 2 warning signs. Next, the local bank is closing its doors. Now, I didn't say a small mom and pop bank or some little teeny credit union. I mean banks, the big banks, Bank of America, SunTrust, Wells Fargo. You see them closing their doors. BB&T closing a branch. We got a problem. That's a problem. All right, it's a problem. Your local Walmart just closed down. Problem. All right. These are the signs, the warning signs you look for. You see that, there's something going on financially where you live. And it may be time to move, and it may be time to move different when you leave your house. If you're used to leaving your doors and windows unlocked in your house or in your car. Well, I live in a safe neighborhood. There's no such thing as a safe neighborhood. It never was. That was a false sense of security. And in these troubled times, especially, it does not exist. Well, I live in a gated community. I don't care if you live in a gated community. Someone could scale the wall, sneak in, and rob you at gunpoint. You don't want that. You don't need those problems. So if you don't, you need to get in the habit of locking your doors and windows in your house and your vehicle. Don't forget to lock your vehicle. Why I drive an old car? No one wants this old 27-year-old car, this jalopy. Nobody wants this. Not that could be further from the truth. You don't know what another person's needs are. You leave your car unlocked and you come and it's gone. When you're ready to get into it, drive it somewhere, you realize it's gone. Yeah. Most crimes are crimes of opportunity. You made it easy for them. You left your car unlocked. They hot wired it and drove away. You left your doors, your front door unlocked or your back door unlocked to your house. So the thief just walked in, took what he wanted and left. You got violated. So you gotta move different in the times we live in. You don't want to tempt fate. And for you females out there, you're used to going running and jogging at night in the dark or in the wee hours of the morning in the dark. You're going to want to move different. You're going to want to stop doing that. Everyone knows that the first victims of crime in America is the elderly and women. Okay, elderly and women. So, young lady, you used to jogging at night by yourself on the wee hours of the morning where it's still dark. You're gonna want to cut that out and change your habits. You don't want to make yourself an easy target, all right, for crime. Now I understand some people work night shifts or whatever, and you have to do what you got to do. You got to be somewhere, you got to work, whatever. I understand that. But if you don't have to be out when it's dark and when it's night, then don't. If you're an elderly person or if you're a young lady, then just, why tempt fate? Remember, when times become this desperate, crime goes up and scams become more sophisticated, financial scams. All right, so these things escalate in times of crisis, like we're seeing right now. All right, people will be trying to get their hustle on. You got people that's out of work. All right, going through various circumstances, and so that man going to eat one way or another, whether he got to put a blade to your throat or put a gun to your temple, he going to eat. All right, so why make it easy? Don't make it easy for yourself to be a victim. Start moving different, and you'll be okay. And I don't care how poor you are. All right, if you can just buy one extra can, I don't care if it's beans, green beans, pork and beans, canned peaches, whatever. If you can just afford to buy one extra can when you go to the store, that's better than doing nothing. All right. I'd rather have that extra can when all the food runs out and all I have is a can in the refrigerator than to have no can at all. Because the time is coming, ladies and gentlemen, where you're not going to be able to get what you need so easily. All right. So the supply chain issue is an issue that they have caused. They caused it themselves. Remember, there's a difference between scarcity. All right. Scarcity is one thing. Shortages is another. Scarcity is a reality of life. There's only but so much gold in the ground. All right. That's scarcity. Okay. Finding a person on the planet that has one green eye and one purple eye, that is scarcity. It's going to be hard to find that person if they exist at all. But a shortage, on the other hand, shortages are man-made. All right. Shortages don't appear in nature. No such a thing. All right. Scarcity exists. Shortages is man-made, whether that is a result of poor planning or being done on purpose or some other nefarious thing going on. Shortages are caused by human beings. Scarcity is a result of reality, as a result of nature. Okay, so know the difference. You keep hearing talking about it like that. They're going to try to mince the words. You're going to hear them say scarcity when the real word they should be using is shortage, because they want to do the Jedi mind trick on you. Okay, it's something to think about. All right, so just do whatever little bit you can. I know everybody's situation is not the same. I got wealthy people that listen to this channel, and we got poor people listening to the channel. All right, just whatever you can do, just do it. If you can, form good groups. For those that don't have strong family relationships, because you were basically raised by wolves, because your extended family sucks. All right, and people that it's not good, it's not healthy for you to be around. Well, then you got to link up with friends. All right, and other people, because no man is an island. All right, everybody's gonna need each other. And I know I hear this all the time, and I always have to say this in response. I got people say, I'm a prepper. I've been prepping for 15 years, 20 years, 30, 40, 100 years. I got a bomb shelter full of canned goods. I got 1,000 years of canned goods. I got 4,000 years worth of water. I got everything. I'm good to go. I live on a farm. I'm self-sufficient. All right. My farm, I got I got ears of corn. I got rows of wheat. I got cabbage. I got onions. I got sweet potatoes. I got carrots. All right. What kind of corn you want? I got white corn, yellow corn. You ain't telling me nothing. I've been prepping. I'm ready. Let's do this. All that's nice and good, but you got a problem. Your problem is security. You're alone. What good is having all of that if you can't protect it, if you can't keep it? Oh, you don't know me, young man. I got 15 different assault weapons. I got rifles. I got a shotgun. Yeah, but you got a problem. It's only one of you. One man cannot protect an entire farm. You need multiple people for that. Because what happens when you go to sleep? Remember, if you're one person and society breaks down to that point, you may not wake up. And who's to say while you're sleeping that people aren't out in your fields grabbing ears of corn? They're reaping your harvest. They're pulling your taters out the ground. You get up and go. You get up in the morning to I'm about to harvest my taters in the morning. Oh, I'm so happy. And you get up and you go over there and you see nothing but holes in the ground where your taters used to be at because they done pulled all your taters up out the ground. You ain't got no taters. Gone. Yep. You was growing watermelons. That big juicy one that you was just dreaming about, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna let it marinate on the vine just one more day. But tomorrow morning, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna enjoy that melon. And you go, and the favorite melon that you was about to sink your teeth into is missing. It's gone. Matter of fact, all your melons are then up and ran away because while you were sleeping, you got pilfered because it's just you. It's just you. But see, when you got a group, then you can do something called fire watch. You got people on watch. All right. So while everybody else is sleeping, at least some people are awake. And you do this on shifts so that everybody gets enough rest and everything. But you do what you got. That's how you keep what you got. It's when you got a group and you can hold on to what you got. The only problem you run into in that scenario is if a larger group, happens to come upon your farm. If you got 20 people on your farm and you got a big old bandit horde of 100 and they're all armed, well, you got a firefight on your hand and you might be in trouble. You might be in trouble. Okay? So remember, no man is an island. You need groups of like-minded people. Doesn't have to be blood relatives. All right? That's another problem in America. A lot of broken families, a lot of disintegrated family relationships. All right. That's a whole nother video. So these are just things that you can do, to protect yourself. And if you don't have no friends, no group, no whatever, and you just by yourself, whatever your circumstance or situation is, okay, well, you just do whatever you can. If you live in an apartment, well, you still need some kind of security system. I would get a security system. One of the best security systems out there is FrontPoint. No, they did not sponsor my video or paying me to say it. Again, I'm just giving you life lessons that I have, things I've done and used. FrontPoint is really good. It's one of the few alarm systems in America that someone that wants to break in your house and rob it, they won't be able to disarm that alarm. Police are coming. And it's tamper-proof too. Yeah, you ain't got to worry about it. There's no hack for it because the way that they set it up. FrontPoint is awesome. Okay, you need an alarm like that. ADT and all that stuff. Stay away from them because that system has flaws in it. So does Comcast. Comcast has a home security system too, but it's already been proven to be beaten. It can be beaten. So ADT can be beaten, and so can Comcast. All right, they can be beaten. There's information online. If you don't believe me, you can just Google it and you'll see for yourself. Those things have been beaten. You want to get alarm services that rank high on the list that have not been beaten. Okay. It's harder for them to break into your stuff. So just because you're alone, doesn't mean you screwed. You're alone if you're on a farm, like you got a working farm, like I just finished talking about, and you're alone, then yeah, you are screwed, because as soon as people come upon you, you're done. But if you live in an apartment or you live in a house by yourself, and you got some form of type of security, because you got some kind of fencing, or you got a gate that people got to go through, with a policeman or a guard there, that's a little bit different. I'm talking to people out in the country. That's who I'm talking to. They have the farms. You're not going to see a farm in the inner city, but you will see a farm out in the suburbs, out in the boonies and the sticks. So your situation is different. For you, if you're alone and you got that country house, what I would say to you is, if you don't already have one, you need to get a dog. You need to get a dog right now. Watchdogs are great. You don't have to get a guard dog. If for whatever reason you can't handle a guard dog, you can't handle a African Mastiff, you can't handle a Rottweiler, a German Shepherd, you can't handle a pit bull, you can't handle none of these type dogs. That's fine. You don't need them, but get yourself a good guard dog. I think one of the best guard dogs around is we have a Dachshund. Dachshunds are really good. They're hounds. I would definitely recommend a hound. All right, a hound is one of the best watchdogs on the planet, and my favorite is Dachshund. We're a Dachshund household. Dachshunds are incredible. All right, they have really good hearing, and their sense of smell is ridiculous. You can Google this if you don't know. Hounds and different types of dogs have been scientifically proven to smell fear, to smell when a person's about to have a heart attack or a stroke or some other health condition. They're just amazing animals. So I would highly suggest getting a watchdog like a Dachshund. I like miniature Dachshunds. They're wonderful dogs, and that is your security system, because that hound is going to sense trouble a mile away before a person even steps up on your porch or even gets in your yard good. That Dachshund's going to start barking. Okay, that's another thing. While we're on the barking subject, one thing my mom used to tell us when we were kids growing up. My mom passed away in 2012, but one thing she used to tell us, and she taught us, never ignore your children. Always listen to your children. In America, they tell you to doubt your children because children have overactive imaginations. Well, just because a person has an overactive imagination doesn't mean they're not telling you the truth. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean people are not out to get you. If a child tells you there is something in the closet, you would do well to investigate to see if there's someone in the closet. I don't care if he tells you he saw the Easter bunny jump down off the roof. You better look into it and see what exactly did that child see. All right. I saw a man with a dog face. If your child tells you something like that, you better listen to him. All right. Same thing with a dog. If you have a hound like a Dachshund and they are barking, especially you see them pointing in a certain direction, or they're barking at the window or the front door, the back door, never ignore your dog's bark. Dogs just don't bark for the heck of it, unless you got some kind of mixed mutt or something. But if you got like a pure breed, hound dog, you got yourself a Dachshund. All right, we got a smooth hair, purebred Dachshund, miniature Dachshund. If you got yourself a purebred miniature Dachshund, and that Dachshund starts to bark for no reason, y'all both sitting on the couch, watching TV, eating popcorn, watching Netflix, and all of a sudden your Dachshund jumps down off the couch, off your lap, and runs to the front door and starts barking, do not ignore your dog's bark. Now, I didn't say go to and open the door and go outside. I said don't ignore your dog's bark. You can go to the door, look out the peephole, go to the window, look and see what's going on outside, because your dog does not bark. Hounds don't bark for nothing unless there's something wrong with your dog. and your dog's sick or has some kind of issue or he wasn't bred well. All right. If you got yourself a pure breed and you got your nice watchdog, never ignore your dog's bark. Dogs bark for a reason. They don't bark for nothing. Maybe a squirrel ran across the door or whatever. The dog never barks just for the sake of barking. Know your dog. He could be telling you they got to go outside. They got to go pee. They got to go potty. All right? Never ignore that. And never ignore your children. I don't care how outlandish the story they tell you. You need to investigate to see whether or not they are telling you the truth. Because just because kids can make things up doesn't mean they're not telling you the truth. All right? Listen to your kids. Listen to your dog. That's what the dog is there for. Because they can hear what you cannot hear. They can sense and smell what you cannot sense and smell. So don't ignore things. Don't ignore the little things. All right? That's how you stay safe. Not relying on the government. The government will never keep you safe. The police can never keep you safe. Police respond to emergencies. They can't prevent them. They can only respond to it after the fact. Always remember that. Okay? So these are things that you can do to help yourself out. If you're a single person, you're alone, you live alone, you definitely need a watchdog. Get yourself a miniature Dachshund, smooth hair. You'll be good to go. That Dachshund will be a lap dog for you, will love you to death unconditionally, and will always bark when they sense something is wrong or someone is in their space, because miniature Dachshunds are also very territorial. Dogs by nature are territorial. So anything that comes in that space, it's going to sound off. And especially in the middle of the night, if you sleep, you knocked out and your dog starts barking, you got a watchdog and he starts barking, oh yeah, you better be ready. Have your sneakers right by the bed so you can put your sneakers on. Grab your Rambo knife or your gat, whatever it is, and go inquire. You feel me? See what I'm saying? So these are little things you can do, because not everybody can afford, a $40 or $50 a month home security system. But you can get yourself a dog. Okay, so just something to think about. These are just little things that you can do to keep yourself safe as you see America spiral out of control. All right. And yes, the country is spiraling out of control, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not. All right. These are real things we're talking about today. All right. I've blabbered on enough. And I just want to point out a few things that was on my mind, on my heart, and get it out there for you. And the thing you can do for me is smash that like button and go to pulsewavetrading.com. We got some amazing things in the works for you there. You'd be surprised. We don't always announce what we've done. We just do things and let you find out on your own. With that being said, remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give not them back. And I am out. Peace.